Hello and welcome to Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. I'm Travis Cooper from Portland Paper, hanging out with our esteemed producer, videographer, graphic designer,
Ian, I'm back.
who is back from a wedding and graduation. Aren't lots of those things, at least two of them. And we're here to bring you 4 rounds of paper, analog, magic, the gathering in the modern format.
Just like we always do. And we have a spicy matchup for y'all to start off the night. It is.
Zing! Suicide Zoo versus Mono Red Phoenix. So, do you have a favorite to win this match, Ian?
Well, I have a favorite in that I like Suicide Zoo, but to win the match, I actually think this is a big skill match. Um, and I think it really will have a lot to do with how Gabriel manages his life here, and also whoever's on the play. So I guess Greg's my favorite to win the match.
Fair enough. And it looks like Greg's starting out with a Faithless Looting and binning 2 Phoenixes. So, pretty strong start there for Mono Red.
Yeah, it seems good. That makes it a little bit harder for Gabriel to kind of do life total shenanigans with Death Shadow and be able to control his life total, as the 2 Phoenixes can really burst him down.
I'm curious how much of the combo that Gabriel's playing if he's on the Teamer Battle Rage Become Immense package that used to be popular back when Gataxian Probe was a legal card in Modern. And I played a fair amount of Suicide Zoo back then. The burn matchup was always tricky, but sometimes you could cheese him out with a Battle Rage plus Death Shadow. So it looks like Gabriel's going to go ahead and fetch Shock here.
I think I might have fetched earlier if I were on Gabriel's side, after finding out what deck Greg was on.
And we get a Thoughtseize. There's a couple of Fiery Islets, a Mountain, a Light up the Stage, and a Gut Shot over there for Greg.
So this Thoughtseize is actually going to be really effective here, as Greg's hand is pretty much nothing until he can get to 3 spells cast.
That's true. I have a feeling we're going to get a flashback to Faithless Looting next turn for Greg, and you can't Thoughtseize that. But it's going to at least be one more turn unless there was some serious shenanigans with multiple gut shots to enable those Phoenixes to come back. But Gabriel's going to take the Light up the Stage, and we're going to fetch. Are we going to get a Shock, or are we just going to get a basic?
And I think taking the Light up the Stage is absolutely the right choice.
All right.
Looks like Gabriel's going to Shock here. If he plays out the Death Shadow, he's really... he better have a Street Wraith.
Well, I did see a Mutagenic Growth in
that
Gabriel's
also
hand.
works.
And I also see the Become Immense in there, too.
If he is able to bait out this Gut Shot from Greg, he's going to be very, very happy. But I think Greg is wise enough to know that Death Shadow's always playing tricks.
Oh, I see the full combo there of the Battle Rage plus Become Immense. And looks like we have a Fetch Land and a Mutagenic Growth, so well, we're getting there.
Yeah.
That would put us to, let's see, if you Fetch and Growth first, you would have 5 in the yard. Getting close.
I think if I were Greg, I would... Interesting. I'd want to put in a little bit of chip damage before just going all in. Or sorry, if I were Gabriel.
Well, you are going to start to limit your options, and once your life total dips down below a certain amount, especially playing against the 12 Lightning Bolt deck.
Gabriel has not been afraid in the least to fetch and shock this game, taking the maximum.
Yeah, I think we might have a combo kill here. Gabriel's just doing the math and the counting.
Sack. TBR. Coming us. Yeah. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, man. Sounds like all the
Greg
so
checking out the math, making sure everything works out, and I think he will find that that is enough damage to close out the game.
So I'm at 8, so that's 5 plus 6 is 11. Double strict.
22 damage.
And Gabriel didn't have to show the mutagenic growth there either. Greg probably assumes that's in the deck, but Gabriel was able to get the win, showing the least amount of cards. And it looks like we have a subscriber for Twitch Prime, and this is the second month that WhoFly has subscribed. So thanks a lot. That's awesome. Keeps us going, buys us cables when they break, and helps us upgrade our equipment to bring some more Magic the Gathering in the paper format.
Shout out to WhoFly, who is in fact the artist that's featured on our audio track.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic talent. Helped out a lot to bring our new audio track to life. Thanks for the support. We appreciate it.
Did we get the audio track at the intro today?
We did. Yeah, we got to listen to our sweet dulcet tones. So, we've entered the sideboarding phase of the game. And I assume that Gabriel... No, I have no idea what Gabriel's going to put in. Help
Well, you're
Travis.
probably taking out some amount of Thoughtseize effects. If you have some Duresses or Inquisitions that might live in the sideboard, you're going to bring those in. Mutagenic growths seem like they could be a cut. You can cast them off of mana. You don't have to pay life.
Surgical
Some people
extraction
might
seems
bring in
like-
surgical. I'm not so. I don't know how I feel about that. It's a free spell, and you can delve it away, which is nice. But Greg's deck isn't built around depending on Arclight Phoenix to win the game. It's almost like a burn deck that has this secondary plan of utilizing the graveyard as a resource and having maybe a little bit slower clock on average than burn, but you have some really explosive like turn 3s sometimes and more recursive damage elements. But even if you get the arc lights off of a surgical, you can still just die to lava spikes and lightning bolts and light up the stages.
True. I suppose it depends on what you're taking out, but if Gabriel's looking at his sideboard and he needs to take out the mutagenic growths and there's nothing better than replacing those with surgical extractions, I think I would take surgical over mutagenic growth.
I think growth might be better, especially when you're playing Wild Nicodle against a burn deck, and you can just protect your creature from a Searing Blaze type effect, maybe even paying the green mana instead of the life.
Possibly, yeah, it would help. I do not anticipate Greg to be playing any Searing effects in this Mono Red Phoenix deck. I have not seen any of those in the deck list to date.
Who knows what blue cards Greg is flashing too.
It's a good
I do see the Blood Moons brought in from Greg, which Blood Moon is a pretty good strategy against these Suicide Zoo decks who are fetching and shocking. Usually they have 1, maybe 2 basics in the list.
Yeah, I think if you can't accelerate into Blood Moon, I do not think that I would play it in this matchup. I think it's such a fast matchup that tapping out on turn 3 for a Blood Moon, unless Gabriel's just doing nothing, or if Greg expects this game to be played at a much slower pace, I see that card just being too late to affect the board very often.
It's something that I would probably bring in on the play, but if I was on the draw, I wouldn't bring it in.
Sure. Well, I see a mountain and a Manamorphose, so I think I would snap keep regardless of what else is in Greg's hand.
All right, we do get that mountain.
It's like a fiery islet.
I think that's just a mountain. Oh, you mean the other card in
Yes.
his hand?
Yes.
Right. Cyclist Street Race. Play Wooded Foothills and passing the turn.
Just starting off a bit slower here.
And we're doing a Manamorphose for 2 red.
Go ahead.
Oof, oof, oof.
It's a Manamorphose and
That's-
pass.
Yeah, it looks like a finale of Promise. Is the red one finale of Promise? This we just talked about how confusing
Oh
these
yeah,
are last time.
those finales don't have the most flavor aligned to color names. But it is Finale of Promise is the red one. Finale of Devastation is the green one, which that seems very much to not make sense. Alright. Gabriel fetching. And this could be, Greg could just be pump faking with a Blood Moon. And we get a Tarmogoyf. Is that another land that was picked up?
Could have been. So this is where we find out if Tarmogoyf is good enough to go all the way.
Tarmogoyf is a 3/4, so Gabriel's going to at least get a Lightning Bolt each turn.
Gabriel is also sitting on a Surgical Extraction in hand, so he does have some interaction that he can play here. And Greg certainly has not done much and has almost nothing in the graveyard, so that finale is not very effective yet. At this point, it would be 4 mana to flash back a Manamorphose, which is not great. Gabriel just going to take a peek at the top of Greg's deck with that Mishra's Bauble.
And Greg seemed pretty flooded at both of these games here.
Looks like another Blood Moon in Greg's hand. This is the danger of, I guess we'll see, of keeping on the back of Blood Moon in a matchup like this.
And we do have Battle Rages over there for Gabriel.
Yeah. Alright, some Lava Dart action. I can get behind that. That's going to unlock some things. So Travis, do you fire these off or do you wait for next turn to try and get rid of that Goyf and just hope that...
I'm probably doing that.
The Goyf's getting big here. We've got Artifact, Land, Creature, Instant, and Sorcery in graveyard. So we are at a 5/6.
It's funny, I think we might have been able to kill the Goyf if we'd put the Lava Dart targeted at the Goyf first.
Possibly. It's a 5/6 right now.
Oh, we were at 5/6.
Yeah, we got the Mishra's Bauble
Oh, right,
added.
right.
And then the Light Up the Stage added a Sorcery here.
And it looks like Gabriel took 2 from that Fork Bolt. And we're Battle Raging.
So coming in for 10. They have each other at 7. I'm pretty sure that's 10. But we will go with what the players have. So we're going to put Gabriel to 1.
Ooh, I kind of would have liked... Oh, there we go. Get the flashback of Lava Dart. Wow. Greg
right.
assembled it there. That chat is right.
About?
Oh, the line of Greg needed to turn on the Light Up the Stage to be able to draw some cards, so
Correct.
Lava
Yep.
Darting the opponent. I was a little bit worried for Greg there. It looked like he was running out of gas, but was able to get a finale of spells there towards the end.
Well, you know, he's just proving the value of that Lava Dart, just getting in for that last point of damage with the flashback. I mean, I'm near positive that Gabriel would have had the win next turn. I thought he had a second TBR
He did.
in hand,
Yep.
so yeah, Greg just barely crosses the finish line there.
I wonder what the cut was for the Lava Dart, as I still saw Greg having the gut shots in the main deck.
Yeah, I don't know. Greg made me eat my own words a little bit on that Blood Moon. The game definitely did play out a bit slower. I still wonder if just having more burn would have been equally as effective there. It felt like Gabriel's hand wasn't particularly neutered.
Well, yeah, I do like the Blood Moon on when you're on the play. On the draw, I would probably sideboard them out, and then you get the benefit of it, especially if your opponent saw it in game 2 of your opponent playing around you, potentially having a Blood Moon.
Right. I actually don't know if this deck has the capability to play around Blood Moon, though.
They play basic swamp and basic forest,
Oh, okay.
but then you're definitely slowing down your ability to double spell.
Right.
Sometimes on pivotal turns.
And to lower your life total as well.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a Swiss Spear for Gabriel, and we're going down to 17. Thinking about if that's the land we want. Yeah, Wild Nicodle deck list when you're playing 4 colors, fetching gets real interesting.
I have heard that that is kind of the crux of this deck list. You know, it's doing a lot of the deck is kind of playing itself a bit, but fetching properly can be extremely punishing.
Yeah, in most modern decks, all of your fetch lands will get all of your duels, but that is not, in fact, true in the Suicide Zoo list. So you really have to think about how you're sequencing your land drops. Both players with prowess creatures out.
Soulscar Mage is a nice mirror breaker for Greg, if that can stay on the field. A nice way to not necessarily blank the pump spells that Gabriel has, but at the very least, Greg's not getting blown out nearly as bad if he's choosing to direct some damage at Gabriel's creatures.
Bolting a 3/4 Goyf with the Soulscar Mage out isn't the worst.
No.
Alright, shocking down to 15. And we're coming in for 1.
Greg drops a 17 here.
And I think we're going to get a Tarmogoyf.
And
Got
it
artifact,
is
land.
a 2/3, but insulated from lightning bolt, and that's what matters. Looks like is that 3 Death Shadows in Gabriel's hand, or is it just 2? Maybe it's just 2.
2 shadows and a surgical.
Okay. It's not a bad spot to be.
Death Shadow is one of the stronger cards in the deck against burn specifically.
Absolutely. And Gabriel also has superior board presence at the moment, so he doesn't even have to worry about necessarily slamming those immediately, and he has the surgical to insulate him against Greg's Phoenix plan.
Looks like we have a Forked Bolt and a Lightning Bolt here.
So that's exactly enough to kill the Goyf, as it would move to a 4/5 after both of those are cast.
I'm kind of tempted to Fork Bolt the Swift Spear and then attack in with the Soulscar Mage, but that is not the line that Greg chooses.
I definitely want to see him get a little aggressive here, especially, yeah, like you said, with the Soulscar Mage. You know, he can attack into that Goyf, get the prowess trigger, bolt the Goyf, and the Goyf will get -1/-1 counters. I think it would take, let's see, would mutagenic growth even be enough to blow him out here? I don't even think, even with a mutagenic growth, the Goyf would not end up killing the Soulscar Mage. They would just push it, both being 2/3s, if I've done my math correctly.
Well, it seems like Greg's contemplating doing something pre-combat.
I'm gonna fork hold one of each of these guys.
Interesting. So Goif goes to essentially a 2-3. So he's giving the Goif potentially a free block here and bluffing a gut shot.
11, 17. Yep.
Gabriel decides to just take it. I can respect that. Sitting with 2 Death Shadows in hand, it's not a bad life total to fall to.
Out of all the lines to take, that is one of the more confusing ones. I'm unsure of why we did the fork bolt that way.
Yeah, I'd have to see the full contents of Greg's hand.
If I'm the opponent, I'm definitely thinking there's a reason that happened, and what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that Greg has a gut shot. As, you know, he's giving you a free block with the Goif without the gut shot.
All right, it looks like we have a fetch land and a surgical, so Gabriel could do 5 damage.
So this is quite a tough spot for Greg to be in. I wonder if he just sits for a bit and tries to just kill Gabriel in one go. I feel like he can't afford to do any chip damage at this point, as Gabriel will be able to punish him so hard on the swing back. Looks like a Phoenix picked up. It's probably a light up this stage, judging on that it looks like a, you know, full frame promo.
And there's a lightning bolt hanging out in the hand too. So we got Phoenix light up the stage, lightning bolts.
And I can't see the 4th card there. But if we're reading Greg, we think it's a gut shot from Gabriel's side. The onus is on Greg to make the first move here. I think Gabriel's more than happy to just start swinging in.
And I think Greg is contemplating whether or not to fire off that lightning bolt at Gabriel to enable this light up the stage.
Yeah. That said, if I'm on Gabriel's side, there's no way I'm serving with all the creatures. I'm probably taking 2, maybe 3 to swing in with. Looks like the Goif is up to a 4-5 at this point, but with the -1/-1 counter sitting at a 3-4.
We're deep in the tank here.
Yeah, I mean this is that moment of the match that Greg's gonna look back on. You know, this is where a million lines can kind of branch out from here, but if he uses that bolt and then Gabriel just comes back and kills him next turn, he's gonna feel, you know, pretty silly. Not that it's necessarily the wrong choice, but
looks like we just passed there.
it's a nice part about playing some pretty quick decks is, you know, you both can take a long think here or there and still be well within your match time. Something you don't know as much about lately.
I'm usually well within my match time. It's
True.
just my opponents that I have to be concerned about.
But it's rare that you take a good long think.
All right. We got a fatal push and a surgical extraction in Gabriel's hand.
It's actually fantastic. I think I'm feeling very, very confident if I'm on Gabriel's side of the table right now. So what do you serve with here, Travis? What are you testing Greg with to start?
Combat.
Well, you know you're only potentially having to play around a lightning bolt and a gut shot, so you could go for it if you want to. If Greg doesn't block these Death Shadows.
Good point. Yeah, Greg is definitely limited on mana for this turn.
Because Gabriel could go potentially down to 5 life right now with a fetch, shock, fetch, and surgical extraction. And then that would put those shadows at 8/8 if they're not blocked.
Correct,
And
but he has no way to give them trample.
so I think where the question is going to be like,
How does Greg block here?
is Greg going to have to chump? If
Yeah,
Greg does, I'm not doing anything if I'm Gabriel
right.
in terms of fetching or shocking.
Sure.
Block 1.
I think I'm happy to maybe just crack a single fetch here. I don't even know if I fetch shock.
I'm gonna shock.
Okay.
Oh, Gabriel knows.
Well, Gabriel did tell us his deck was called Suicide Zoo, so
I actually put that one
you
in.
put that. Okay.
You said it was Dash Shadow Zoo, but
Oh, you.
I'm thinking about if I want to fetch, I'll shuffle more. If I don't,
Okay. So we just get the fetch shock, sitting at 8. Death Shadow's at 5/5s. Greg making the correct choice of blocking with the Swift Spear and leaving the Soul Scar Mage back, as the Soul Scar Mage has quite a bit more value in play, alive.
damage.
I may have been tempted to swing in with that Goyf too if I was on Gabriel's side of the table.
I was thinking similar.
Especially if you have the push lined up. Because then if Greg doesn't block, you're going to win. But if Greg does block, you can always push a creature.
Right, the margins are super tight here. It's funny how these decks play so quickly, and then we get down to these points of where every point of life matters so much.
Greg's going to take 5 and go down to 10.
So it looks like Greg is just kind of hoping to get there on the burn plan. That looks like a Blood Moon picked up.
Yep, that's not where you want to be right now.
Yeah, so kind of what we were talking about. I felt like it was medium the last game, and I think both of us felt like it probably would have been better off boarded out this game.
I would agree with that. I think it was better than medium last game. I think it's why
Okay.
Greg won the game.
Oh,
Because I think Gabriel was going to be able to double spell and play out his hand like several turns earlier if that Blood Moon wasn't there. But I agree that it's pretty bad if Gabriel has a very efficient deck and is able to cast most of his creatures off 1 or 2 mana, unless there's some bigger things in the sideboard. And if you're on the draw, yeah, Blood Moon isn't usually going to cut it.
points the dart. So is Greg got to be going for it here? Okay, I see. Had to enable the light up the stage. That's all right here. I mean, that plays. He still doesn't have a Phoenix in the yard as far as I know.
Is that another, was it gut shot plus?
Light up the stage.
Ah.
So he can chain that second light up the stage. There's...
Hasn't made a land drop yet either.
He has.
Oh, has?
Yeah, he played the Fiery Islet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Missed that one. Oh. Oh.
Tough. Oh, he just wins, right? No, he doesn't, because he has played his land drop, so he cannot double bolt gut shot for the win here.
Can
That's
bolt
tough.
gut shot and then do that lava dart, but that's not quite enough.
Sam with the zinger. You're never going to see Hogak featured here while I'm around.
Well, we featured it 3 times last week.
Well, then good. I'm glad I wasn't around.
It was also at the top tables the whole time. So.
Makes sense. Then maybe we'll be forced to feature it later.
I had you at 10. Oh, I might have missed pain from the.
Yeah, I paid 2 for the gut
Oh,
shot.
okay, yeah.
Okay, Greg down to 7 here.
Bolt gold.
Bolts the Goyf. We get a push on the Soulscar Mage, and I think that'll do it.
Should do
I
it.
think I'll do it. I already played land for turn, right? I'm pretty sure.
He
I believe
did.
I'm on the play, and I don't think I've missed a land drop.
Yes.
So. Okay, man.
Players correctly realizing that Greg has played a land. What a close series of games.
Yeah, that was a really good match for two decks that are very, very fast. There's a lot of decision trees and thinking, especially when it comes to managing life totals and how aggressive you want to be with your creatures. Really enjoy watching those type of games.
Absolutely.
I have surgical
Well,
in both games. Oh, really?
Shall we take a look?
Yeah, it
for
looks like we
the
got
match, or-
14 minutes left. Maybe let's see if anyone else is in between games right now and see if we can throw them on the table.
And chat.
I mean, I would have paid 2 life, but then.
I'm going to give us just a little bit of music to listen to here. So enjoy some music while Travis looks for our next match.